You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. I have always prided myself in having an amazing memory, a memory that was adored and appreciated by my family growing up. I remember when I was a kid, I was often given the task of remembering the little things, certain treasures or dates or events for my family. It felt like I became the keeper of special things. I would remember that we would need to call someone or pick something up from the store or bring something in from the trunk of our car. And I would beam when I would remember, and I would also be praised. I have a strong memory, and I am realizing that this is a double-edged sword when it comes to conscious creation. And this episode is going to dive into why that is. On the surface, memory feels like a gift, and it is one. It's how we remember who we are. It's how we recall the moments that nourished us, the people who shaped us, the lessons we've learned. But if you're on a path of manifestation mastery, if you're consciously working with the principles of reality creation and the imaginal realm, memory can be both your greatest ally and your most cunning saboteur. Because when you have a strong memory, when your mind clings to vivid recall, it doesn't just replay the facts of what happened. It replays the state of being you were in when it happened. And that is what can keep you anchored and sometimes locked to an identity, a self-concept, and a story that you're desperately trying to transcend. So the question then becomes, how can you leverage memory instead of being imprisoned by it so that your past doesn't dictate your becoming? The thing about memory is that it isn't just about recall or about our mind flipping back through some mental scrapbook. We may believe that memory works much like a camcorder, and we may believe in its exactitude. But the thing about human memory is that it's inherently subjective and colored by so much more than a memory card capturing an experience. The fact is, you're not just remembering information, you're also remembering the perspective of your self-concept at the time that you logged your memory. You're remembering from the perspective of who you were, which might no longer be in alignment with who you are or who you're becoming. And the stronger your memory, the easier it is to fall into this loop of reigniting the state of the person you were and the beliefs that had solidified in response to the experience that you had. When you recall certain memories without questioning them or looking at them from a new angle, lens, or vantage point, you continue to stay the person you once were, which can so often contradict the person you're growing to be. You remember a fight you had and you feel the shame and anger all over again. You remember a time that you failed and suddenly you doubt yourself in the present. You remember a relationship dynamic and without realizing it, you start acting it out in your current one. This is why people can spend decades stuck in the past, because memory is sticky. It pulls you back into old states of being. From a manifestation perspective, this is critical to understand because you manifest from your state. So if memory is consistently dragging you back into the state of hurt, lack, limitation, or rejection, even though it's technically just a memory, your body and your consciousness don't know the difference, and you begin to broadcast from the frequency of the past. And here's where manifestation principles come into play. What you assume to be true or what you accept as real in your consciousness is what hardens into fact. In other words, what you're impressing upon your imagination is what will express in the mirror of your reality. So if you're assuming through memory that you're still the person who was rejected, betrayed, humiliated, or unworthy, you'll continue to create from that state of being, and you'll continue to experience that unfolding in your reality. The other thing we want to consider here is that with most memories, fear and shame are so often tangled up in the recall. For example, if you've never had a negative experience with something, you won't fear it. But if you have been burned, betrayed, laughed at, excluded, then your memory of that experience becomes the raw material that shapes your expectation of what might happen again. So when people say, I'm afraid this will happen, what they're really saying is, I'm remembering a time it already did. And this is where strong memory can become a distortion of your manifesting power. Because instead of assuming something new, instead of imagining the best possible outcome, you're unconsciously looping something from the past, carrying the experience forward through memory and mistaking it for prophecy or fact. But the truth is that memory is not a prophecy, nor is it a destiny. Memory is only evidence of what your previous state of consciousness once created. And if you've been on this journey with me for a while, you know that you can change your state of being. Assumptions can change, beliefs and habits can change, and when they do, reality must shift to match. So what do we do with this? The first step is to understand that memory creates anchors. An anchor is anything that locks you into a particular state. It can be something as simple as a song, a smell, a tone of voice, a photograph, a look someone gives you. And for those with strong memory, like myself, anchors are everywhere. They live in your body and your muscle memory and in your nervous system. And this is why you can be in a perfectly good mood and then one random comment from someone sends you spiraling. Your body is not responding to the present experience, it's responding to the anchor of the past. So part of this work, part of living deliberately and consciously, is learning to master new anchors. Anchors that serve your future, the one that you're stepping into. Anchors that remind you of who you are becoming and help you stabilize in the state of your desired reality, even when memory tries to drag you back. So I want to offer you some ways to intentionally create and master new anchors to offer and practice to your imagination. The first step is to recode your old memories. When a painful memory resurfaces, don't just replay it in your mind. See what happens when you allow yourself to play in the playground of that memory, with the idea that there are infinite potentialities, meaning there are infinite possibilities of what could have happened. You could allow yourself to re-enter your memory from a vantage point that is new, and you can edit it for the purpose of relating to it differently. See what kind of experience could have resulted in a specific desirable feeling that can arise within you. How might your memory unfold if you were showing up as a confident, anchored, stable version of yourself? You are not changing the memory to erase the past because you experienced what you experienced. You are simply playing with your remembering of it so that you can experience that memory, that event, as well as yourself from an alternate, playful possibility. For example, if you were rejected, imagine what it could have been like to have been embraced instead. How does that feel? If you were humiliated, what would it have been like to have been applauded? If you were once left behind or you felt abandoned, you could imagine what it would have been like to have been held instead. In his works, Neville Goddard teaches this concept as revision. You don't deny what's happened, but you revise your memory within your imagination. Because your subconscious doesn't distinguish between real and imagined, it only knows what you accept to be true. And when you revise, you offer yourself a new anchor so that the next time this memory arises within you, your nervous system can have a new imprint to hold and a new framework to relate from. Another thing you can do is create memories of the future. This practice, in my opinion, can be really fun, especially if you're someone who enjoys daydreaming. To practice this, all you have to do is close your eyes and imagine yourself already living your desired reality. Experience it as if it's a memory. See the details, smell the air, hear the laughter. Then say to yourself, "This is my memory." If you do this consistently, you will offer your subconscious mind beautiful memories that can help to reinforce the state of being that you're stepping into and desiring to be. These future memories can become anchors of you living in the life you're calling in, and they can help you kickstart your brain's reticular activating system to draw in more of these same kinds of experiences. Ultimately, this is about becoming the curator of your own memory, because memory is selective, and we need to be honest with ourselves that no matter how good our human memories may seem, we cannot truly remember everything objectively and at the full expanse. You are always choosing, whether consciously or unconsciously, what to recall, what to emphasize, and what to relive. And the stories you tell yourself about your past shape the stories you believe are possible for your future. So I want to invite you to ask yourself, what are you choosing to remember? What are you rehearsing in your mind? I also want you to consider whether your memories are reinforcing limitation or possibility. Are they anchoring you in who you once were or who you're now becoming? And please know that if you have a strong memory, then you also have a powerful imagination. You already have the capacity to vividly recall sights, sounds, smells, and moods. And that same capacity can be directed forward. You can use it to imagine with detail, with potency, with texture, because manifestation isn't about vague wishing. It's about assuming the feeling of a wish fulfilled. And if you have a strong memory, you already know how to embody a state so fully that it feels real. You just need to shift which memories you choose to hold within. Your memory is not the authority on who you are. Your imagination is. And when you remember to remember your future, and when you anchor yourself in the state of already being, your reality has no choice but to rise and meet you there. Until next time.